So you want to buy a luxury home in Miami. If you're like many others, you've probably gone online and searched Google, YouTube, and just a bunch of other areas. You probably heard the same old thing over and over again. And this video is not like that. You are actually going to get stuff that is going to help you, stuff that we've learned. Our team does about 80% luxury sales. We do well over 100 transactions a year. I just wanted to share with you today things that will help you that is a bit out of the norm. Obviously, I'm going to share with you the basics, but some other things, some pro tips that'll help you. So the first thing is when someone says that they are moving to Miami. If they don't live in Miami, they don't know Miami as the hyper-local areas that it is. Anyone that lives in any other part of the country, besides the name of the city or village or subdivision that they live in, there are probably other hyper-local areas that have many different types of neighborhoods and other things. When I do this video, what am I considering luxury real estate? And just for the purpose of this video, to make it easy, I'm gonna use 1 million or more. Obviously, 1 million doesn't buy what it used to pre-COVID because prices have gone up tremendously in Miami. In some areas, prices have almost tripled. So it's a bit crazy that our prices are so much, but at the same time, our prices are still way less than California, Chicago, New York, the Northeast, and many other parts of the country. And that's why so many people are moving here, and obviously to save on the state tax, because when you do everything, it's gonna be significantly cheaper in Miami usually than where you are living. Okay, so with that said, when we break down the price point, the next thing is, what areas are in Miami? The areas that are luxury in single family home and condos, townhouses, are typically different areas. So we created a guide called the Miami Neighborhood Guide. You can go to it at miamineighborhoodguide.com. And within this website, we broke down Miami into, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 57 hyper-local areas. And each area, we do many articles on each. Some of the things would be just an overview of the area, what to do, things you may not know about the area, where to eat, where to get dessert, dog-friendly parks. We have something on the schools, and we also have a neighborhood video on every single one of them. And a neighborhood video showing like how some of the homes look, also where their activities, maybe parks, and also food and things to do. So you'll get a very good feeling of the neighborhood. So when I bring this up, if someone is looking for a single family home in Miami, there are gonna be certain areas, and we're gonna highlight this on our Miami Neighborhood Guide, where it'll say, just to give you an example, if you're looking for a luxury single family home in Miami-Dade County, some of the areas that are great for that are Coconut Grove, Ponce Davis, High Pines, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, and there are other areas as well. We specify that on the Miami Neighborhood Guide as far as which areas are predominantly luxury and if it's single family homes or condos. So condos are much different. It's typically a different type of person that is living in a condo. It's someone that doesn't obviously care if they have a backyard or land. Maybe someone that wants a ton of amenities. Maybe they travel a lot and maybe they want more security because they're not going to be there, and because it's in a building, they may feel safer. It just depends. We get people from all over the world traveling here, and certain countries prefer condos over single family homes and vice versa. So in that Miami Neighborhood Guide, we're gonna also share with you which properties are predominantly luxury condos in those areas. And over time, these things change. So if you see this later in the future, or a developer starts creating a bunch of luxury homes or condos in a certain area, we'll do our best to keep it updated, but that may happen. So I apologize for that. The next thing that you should know when you're buying a luxury home in Miami is the properties that you see online aren't all the properties that are available. So I would highly recommend that you work with an agent. And even if this isn't Miami, this advice holds true for the rest of the country as well, and probably other countries. If the property is a luxury property, many times that property is owned by someone that may be in the public eye. Maybe they're a celebrity, maybe they're an athlete, maybe there's someone that's a very famous business person. Maybe it's someone that's going through a divorce. So they don't want to share that much about their property being on the market. So a lot of times they'll find luxury agents, and we have some sort of network with these other luxury agents. It doesn't matter which company they work for, but just to give you an example, Compass, our company, we are the #1 brokerage for volume sold in the US. We work in markets that are predominantly luxury. Even though we sell both, our team does about 80% luxury, we do 20% traditional normal sales. We know a lot of people that sell luxury real estate all over the country, and a lot of those buyers are moving to Miami. So back to the off-market stuff. So these things are called off-market properties, pocket listings, coming soon properties. These are properties that you won't find typically on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Trulia, because of certain restrictions that the National Association of Realtors has put on real estate agents. We can't have off-market properties and advertise them publicly. We have to have our network of agents that we work with. We can't do a Google ad or a Facebook ad, Instagram, TikTok, whatever ad to the public. We have to share it amongst ourselves in the industry. So it's an off-market property. And you'll be surprised, there are many properties that sell when they are off-market. Some of our biggest sales aren't even on Zillow or Realtor.com or any of these other sites. So that's one thing to know. You need to find an agent that is able to get you off-market properties, pocket listings, and all the other things I told you about. And when you speak to that agent, ask them how. Don't believe what that person says. Not that they're lying, but maybe there's a better way to do it. So to give you an example, there's something called Workplace. Facebook owns a division and it's called Workplace. Workplace looks identical to Facebook, but it's usually companies that are on it. So for example, Compass, we have a group on Workplace where there's 33,000 Compass agents on it. And we're able to share our private exclusives, is another name for it, to each other. So a lot of times we sell properties and we share them with other Compass agents, and we're able to get ahead of the rest of the market. Even though we do have many relationships with other people at Sotheby's and all the Douglas Elliman and all the other big firms, we have a huge network of agents just at Compass that helps us get many properties that other people aren't aware of. I'm not promising you that happens all the time, but it gives us a bigger ocean to fish in. So it helps a lot of times. So make sure that you know someone that has access to these off-market properties. So I'm going to share with you just a brief breakdown of the contract, because the Florida real estate contract is different than many other parts of the country, and in each county it's different than other areas. And obviously with any legal thing and contracts, they're updated a lot. You need to find someone that is well versed on these real estate contracts. So besides the price on the contract, there are many times on the contract, there are time periods, deadlines, 7 days, 10 days, 15 days, whatever the number is. The way the days are calculated, the way the deadlines are calculated on the contract are calendar days. And it's not business days, it's calendar days. So I'll give you an example. So say you have a deadline and it's ending on a Tuesday. It's not gonna end at Tuesday at 5 p.m. It's gonna end at Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. The only exceptions would be if a deadline ends on a holiday or on the weekend, you go to the next business day, whether that's the next day, whether it's multiple days away from then, so the deadline ends on a holiday or a weekend, and you go to the next business day, but not 11:59 p.m., it's 5 p.m. So a lot of people, a lot of agents are confused about that, and just want to let you know that because that is important. Another thing is on the contract. Once you have what's called a fully executed contract, that means there's an agreed upon, everything is signed, the signatures are done, the initials are done, everything is done. You have what's called a fully executed contract, and the effective date starts then. And that's when you would add the deadline. 7 days, it would start tomorrow, and then you'd add it'd be 7 days from today, if today's the effective date. So with that said, typically, and some of the things I'm telling you are negotiable items, but typically, if you want to make your contract pretty straightforward and have a better chance of getting it approved by the seller, is we have an escrow deposit typically that's due within 3 days. This is money that's wired to your closing agent. And in Miami, we use both title companies and real estate attorneys to do the closings. The buyer selects the closing agent, the seller can have one as well. In our business, for our team, probably 90 to 95% of our deals are done by real estate attorneys. The price is pretty similar to title companies. One of the reasons is title insurance is something that's regulated by the state of Florida, and 99.99% of the people get title insurance when they buy a property. Typically, if I'm not mistaken, at least this was in the past, I think it still is today, the closing agent, whether it's a real estate attorney or title company, typically makes 70% of the cost of that policy. So they get a lot of money from there, and that's why real estate attorneys charge similar fees as title companies for the most part. Okay, so back to the escrow deposit. You have this offer, it's accepted, and typically within 3 days, you wire the money to the title company or real estate attorney. So if it's a finance deal, typically that escrow deposit is 5%. So we'll use the million number just to make things easy. Say you're buying $1 million property, your offer's accepted, and you do the typical 3 days from the effective date when you're gonna give your escrow deposit, and you put 5%. If it's $1 million property, you'd put $50,000 in the escrow. Some people put it in one payment, some put it over instead of 3 days and give everything. Some do 3 days and then maybe a day after the inspection period, and they can split it up however they want to split it up. It doesn't matter. If someone is paying cash for a property, you're gonna give 10% escrow typically. That's gonna be normally what the number is. So those are the things when you're buying. So also when you give your offer, if you're paying cash, you're gonna give something called a proof of funds. Proof of funds is gonna be the person's name who's purchasing the property, whether it's a company, whether it's an individual, couple, whatever. That person or entity has that much in a bank account to cover the cost of the property plus the closing costs. If you're financing, you're gonna give a pre-approval letter. A pro tip would be to share also that you have proof of funds to pay the down payment and have enough money where the seller feels comfortable. The next thing typically is if the property has an association, within 5 days usually, you're supposed to apply to the association. These are negotiable items, but you would apply to the association. One of the things about an association is, so these are typically condos, not usually homeowners associations. Sometimes they are, it depends on the development. But in a condo association, you have 3 days, if it's a resale, a property that you're buying that's already been titled before, you have 72 hours, 3 days to cancel the contract once you receive those condo docs. And it doesn't matter if your inspection period is over already. If you get your condo docs after, you still have the 72 hours. When I represent sellers, I make sure I give the condo docs within that time frame of the inspection period, so there's no additional time after. So that would be the next thing, the 5 days typically to apply to the association. The next thing is an appraisal. The appraisal is done typically 7-10 days, sometimes 15 days, but typically 7 to 10 days. And within that inspection period, they're not going to fix things, they'll give you a credit. So during that inspection period, you can back out of the sale for any reason whatsoever, even if you change your mind. It's basically a due diligence period, and it's not based on the condition of the house. It's based on you wanting to take delivery or not. So when the deadline is 7 days, you have to notify them in writing within 7 days if you are going to cancel the contract, if that's your deadline period. So you have to notify them within your inspection deadline. If you don't notify them, then it's assumed that you're going forward. You can't change your mind after that. So what happens on the inspection? Say you're buying the same $1 million house, there's like $20,000 worth of damage of the property. A lot of it is cosmetic, some of it is a big deal that's not cosmetic. Pro tip, don't ask for the full $20,000. I've had so many people try and ask for too much and get nothing. If you're trying to be fair about it and you ask for a number that you think is fair and you can justify it, then the seller is probably going to be more flexible and probably will give you more than if you ask for too much. Also, during a contract, especially if you're financing, there are sometimes multiple times there is negotiation. So after the inspection, there could be an appraisal where the property doesn't appraise for the sale value. If the property doesn't appraise at the sale price, it's less. Or during an inspection, there are things that make you feel you want to get a credit. You have 3 options. One is to try and renegotiate with the seller. They don't have to accept, obviously. Number 2 is you can just decide, you know what, I feel like I'm getting a good deal, it's fair, I'm gonna make some changes to the property anyway, or whatever the reason. You can just move forward. Or 3, you could cancel the sale. So those are your 3 options. Okay, you did the appraisal, and if it doesn't appraise, like I said, if you are fair in the earlier negotiation, they may help you out more in the second one. If you're tough, if you're really too tough and too strict on negotiations, it usually doesn't go well. Okay, so the expectations of the Miami market, what are they? What could you expect now if you're buying a property? It's a lot different in Miami than many other parts of the country. People are moving here, especially luxury real estate, because they're saving on state tax. And a lot of times they're saving so much money where interest rates and other things don't make that much of a difference compared to other areas. I looked last month and this month, and at different times of the month, for cash sales $1 million or more, it was like 60-70% at times. So people do finance in the luxury market here, but it's usually minimum like mid-50s to 60-70% of the luxury transactions are cash. So the interest rate is going to make much less of an impact on the market. And also some of those people that are financing, that are paying more, are saving money on the state tax, so they're able to offset some of that disadvantage with the higher taxes, with the higher interest rates. Okay, so the expectations. It's inconsistent. The Miami market is very inconsistent now. We have properties, I have a seller that we're looking at properties from 4 to 6 million. They're coming from the Northeast this weekend. They sent me 8 properties to look at, and 3 of them went under contract within the last week. And one was 4.65 million in a place called Coral Gables. And this property was on the market 7 days. It had 4 cash offers over asking price. So we have properties like that, but then we also have properties that may be on the market for many months, or some that don't even sell at all. You just have to see what the competition is for a property usually, and your agent can give you a better perspective of what your odds are and what you should offer on the property. Another thing that people look at is they look at comps. They look at previous sales of properties, and that's not a good indication of what you should offer, because you have to pretend you're the buyer. So even though this market is a little bit slower than last year, we still have an inventory shortage, especially for properties that are turnkey in areas that are very well liked by consumers. Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, many of these areas, High Pines, Ponce Davis. Anyways, so in these desirable areas that have turnkey properties where there's very little inventory, many times the comps don't mean anything. properties can still sell for many hundreds of thousands over or under, depending on what the competition is at the market and what the inventory is. So hopefully that gives you a better expectation of the market. Bottom line, the agent should be able to tell you based on what you're looking for if there's going to be a lot of competition. You'll probably be able to know by knowing if there are a lot of options within where you're looking. The last thing I want to share with you is VIP lists. If the agent is a great agent, and we like to think that our team is, we have a VIP list for our clients, for buyers that are looking for properties. So like I mentioned earlier, there are these private exclusives, properties, these off-market pocket listings, properties that are coming soon. Basically properties that most people, probably 95% of the people, have no clue about. And if you sign up for our VIP list, we can share with you properties that come on the market before others do. So it'll give you a better chance of getting these hot properties before others do. It'll give you an advantage, a big advantage. So I would ask your agent if they have a VIP list where they can share with you off-market properties. It doesn't mean that there are always off-market properties or pocket listings that are there, but when they are there, you want to know for sure that you're getting first dibs on the inventory on there. So there are many, many other things to share about the Miami luxury market and buying a home, but this is a guide to help get you started. And obviously, if you are looking to buy a luxury property in Miami or anywhere else in the US, our team would love to help to get you to your next destination. And because our team is so diverse, different ages, different languages, and many other different interests, we feel that at least someone on our team will resonate with any of you guys out there. So thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you watching our content. If we could ever do anything to help make your life better with taking out some sort of stress, even if it's a real estate issue that you have and you're not working with us, we're happy to help. We want to make the world a better place in the smallest way that we can. Thanks so much for watching. Love you guys. All the best.